Salmon of knowledge, the salmon of knowledge, the salmon of knowledge, and salmon of knowledge, the salmon of knowledge, the podcast. Hey, Sammon Skins, welcome to episode 31. 31 years from now, you'll be my baby. I remember when you were a child. Now you're all grown, my darling baby boy. You are no longer a baby. I don't know why it's so important to remind you that you were a baby, but you used to be a baby. You couldn't see in color, you couldn't make out shapes, you could only make out fake shapes. Now you can make out more defined shapes, like my face, like when you were a baby. When you were a baby, you couldn't eat gravy or any complicated foods because your stomach wasn't used to it being just a baby stomach. You had to grow up as well as grow your stomach and introduce more solid foods as you get older. I don't know what the steps are, my little baby. I can't sit you on my lap anymore. You're too big for my lap and I'm an old man. I used to enjoy you being on my lap because you were a small tiny baby, but now you're fully grown and it's slightly inappropriate for me to have you on my lap. You're just a little baby, but now you're a man and not a baby no more. I can do what I can to a baby. Oh, it's episode 30. Let's get flirty. No, wait, it's 31. I'm completely wrong. So I hope that's been confusing for some people who are like, I was just listening to the last episode. But now this that was 30, but now he's saying this. Now I understand what's happening. So now that we're all back on board, let me lower my chair. Here we go. And I'm right up next to you guys. Listen, guys, I just want to speak in this. It's a bit of a rough. You can hear like a little bit of a rough thing going on here, because I sound like a really bad Matthew McConaughey impression. All right. So it's episode 31, and it's absolutely lashing rain. I just woke up from a nap, which is why I've got this beautiful kind of rough sort of, hey, I kind of sound like I could try and attempt my world famous Harrison Ford impression. It's as famous as hot wings are in restaurants everywhere. You know, I've never read an article about hot wings or had anyone go on and on about hot wings, chicken wings in a restaurant, to the point where I'm like, wow, they're famous now. I've heard so much about them. They're actually famous. No. Listen, no. Hey, my wife, my family. I don't understand why he's doing what he's doing. If my family had been shot in front of me when I was 8 years old, I would have joined the IRA and went out and shot them. But you don't understand what's going on here. You can't be sure what's happening. You're only an American cop in Boston with Irish connections. You're not actually a real Irishman. You're an American Irishman, Mr. Harrison Ford. So it is. I don't care. This is the devil's own. I've said the name of the movie for confusion, but he lived in my house with my wife and my family. I know you're very concerned about your wife and family. I'd be concerned if I were you, Mr. Ford. So I would now to do with everything that's going on with the IRA and such.
What are you saying? What are you alluding to? My wife? My family? My Irishness? The devil's own?
Look, the devil takes care of his own, and we take care of the devil. Because we're the IRA. And we're greatly misunderstood in American films.
How do you mean?
Well, we're so misunderstood that usually when we're portrayed, we're always like, you know, we left the IRA, or we're too extreme for the IRA, or we're like the continuity IRA, or we're the new IRA, or we're the old IRA, or we're like too extreme for a terrorist group.
I still don't understand. Where's my wife? Where's my family?
Are you okay, Mr. Ford? Like, I've heard rumors that you smoke a lot of marijuana. Wait, no, marijuana? You smoke a lot of marijuana?
What's wrong with you? Your accent is getting inconsistent.
I know. Listen, but that's only because I'm not really the IRA. I'm only an actor playing the IRA in a movie for Americans.
Well, it's convincing enough for me.
Well, it would be, wouldn't you? You're Harrison Ford. Remember you tried to do that Russian accent in K-19 The Widowmaker?
I don't remember that movie. Was my wife and family in that movie?
No one really remembers that movie, sir. Don't worry about it. Just don't ever try to do an accent again before or since in the movie, Mr. Ford.
Alright, get out of here.
Okay, goodbye, Nay.
Yeah, that was a kind of a silly little improv there that I went on with Harrison Ford because my voice was so rough. And I just felt I could do Harrison Ford. I apologise for that. It wasn't probably the best Harrison Ford or the best version of The Devil's Own. But it kind of came about from improvising with guns in that kind of style of Michael Scott from The American Office, who has the improv class where he just pulls a gun at the end of every improv and completely ruins the whole thing. Myself and Cara were in bed, and she was kind of asking me to do accents because I was doing all these accents, and she was like, "No, don't talk like that. Don't talk in those English voices. I don't like when you do that." And I was like, I don't know what you're saying. I suppose I could go a little bit, not be as rough, just be a little bit more kind of like, less threatening. So they don't say threatening, they say threatening, which is like something you do. Hey, don't be threatening. Don't be someone who worries about stuff all the time. The threatenator. Don't be a robot, cyborg, come back from the past, and all you're doing is you're just worrying about what's going to happen in the future when you can't really resolve that. That's what the Buddhists say. They say, don't worry about the future that hasn't happened yet. Don't worry about the past that's done. Just worry about, the present, whereas the cyborg is trying to, worry about stuff and he will not stop worrying until you're worrying as well. And you don't want that in your life. You want to cut that cyborg worrier out. That's what I say. So I was doing those voices. And then she was like, do an American voice. And then I was like, make it a little bit harder. And she was like pulling finger guns on me constantly. And we're having a big laugh. And then she tried to up the ante. And she was like, "I'll pull a finger gun out on you." And I was like, "I've got a machine gun." And then she's like, "I've got a bazooka." Ha 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 ha. And she laughed her wonderful laugh. And I immediately, lickety-split, as quick as a whip, used my improv skills. And I proclaimed that the bazooka was actually a giant banana. And I grabbed it off her and I mimed peeling a giant banana, and I ate it really fast. I quite enjoyed the old improv. It's a difficult thing to do, improv, which is why it's good to kind of speak in a character voice. And we ended up doing sort of, I was like, all right, I'll try and do the hardest accent I can think of, which is an American actor trying to do a Northern Ireland or an Irish accent, because you have to kind of keep that flavour of American, but American desperately trying to sound Irish. And it's kind of like Michael Flatley has that voice where he's kind of like, oh geez guys, the crack was mighty. Let me tell you, boy, I can tell you that, occasionally you'll hear American, but it'll more so go into sort of the Irish kind of little thing. Oh my God, and be God and be Jesus, guys. Which is, that's basic American, but American trying to do Northern Ireland, which you'd think is kind of easier than, say, a regional. Like, it'd be easier to do a Belfast accent than it would to do like a Longford accent, because quite frankly, who knows what people from Longford sound like? People from Longford probably, but beyond that, outside of the county, who knows what they sound like? It's not like Cork, and it's not like Kerry, and it's not like Dublin or Dublin or Dublin. It's not very strong and very, it doesn't have, there's dumb people laughing on the street. It doesn't have that specificity, which is a word I've been waiting all of my life to say in a podcast. And there, I just said it. But it doesn't have that specific uniqueness that those other accents do. But I'll tell you, you're not doing it. Oh, I sure I'm only here for a few days. Like, that's too good. You have to get that American in there where they're only American who talks like this, and then you just end up eating your own face. Like Tommy Lee Jones did when he played an IRA bomber in Blown Away, which probably is the least imaginative title for a movie about a bomber who is blowing people up. Blown Away. I mean, Blown Away, it's almost like if it was successful enough, and it wasn't really, because no one really remembers. Who remembers Blown Away with Tommy Lee Jones and Jeff Bridges, where Tommy Lee Jones played a character called Garrity. It really handled its topics of ex-IRA bombers very sensitively, as evidenced here in the trailer.
All right, here's what we've got. We're being bombed.
Feds are coming up with zeros. Looks like our boys are mystery men.
There's no mystery. His name's Ryan Garrity. According to the report, the guy can build bombs out of biscuit.
I've come here to create a new country for you called Chaos, and a new government called Anarchy. All for you.
Tommy, what are you doing, Tommy? It's funny, the reviews for it, it's gotten like a 32% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is really low. And like, I'd completely forgotten about this movie. We had Peter McGann, a wonderful actor and comedian, on my other podcast, Reviewables, talking about Irish accents in movies. And I don't think we actually mentioned Tommy Lee Jones, because everyone and their mother had forgotten this movie from Stephen Hopkins. Here's a review from someone who is kind of going against the mainly negative reviews for this 1994 thriller. So, listen to this review. From reading the other comments on this site, I was surprised at all the negativity surrounding this film. Sure, the accents are probably bad, but everyone knows that Hollywood can't do accents and aging. Like, what? Sure, the accents are probably bad. No, they're definitely bad. Really bad. I don't understand why they just can't. I guess there was no big Irish actors that could have played a bad guy and had, second billing on a big time action movie like this. This is not a movie to be picked apart, but one to be enjoyed. Yeah. Sure, the characters aren't completely fleshed out, but there is enough depth for you to feel for them. The action is good, and despite many contrary opinions, I think the pacing is good too. This review reads like it's written by the director in conjunction with the editor. One of the high points of this film was the sequence where the wife and daughter are in the house and the audience is left suspecting there may be a bomb plant. The camera shots that frame the stove turning on, the light bulb, the phone jack, etc. were done very well and suspensefully, though I suspect this well-done sequence is what is making people call this film slow. No, I think when people say slow about this movie, they actually mean boring. Finally, the use of the Joshua Tree by U2 was a really nice touch. Well, I can tell you this, whoever wrote this review, Tea Party _48 from, 14th of December 2002 was when this review was written. And I don't think the movie has improved with age or time. But U2 didn't like the fact that their music was being played by an IRA bomber, because U2 and Bonio are famously anti-IRA. Overall, this film is not outstanding. Oh boy howdy. But if you want a movie that is relatively light, but has some comedy, drama, suspense and action all mixed in, then check it out. Like, just terrible. Like, what an apologetic review. Sure, the movie is badly paced, but hey, aren't most movies badly paced? Sure, the accents are terrible, but Hollywood isn't known for its accents, unless you have, Meryl Streep or Cate Blanchett playing Veronica Guerin. Sure, movies are bad, but if you want to watch a movie, why not just watch it? What a ringingly terrible endorsement. So, that's enough about the movies. Let's take a break. Let's go take a break. Back from the break, and we're back from the break. So, guys, I have been back volunteering in the zoo. Yes, it took 3 months for me. I had my first, if you listen back to episode 2 of this podcast entitled Zoo Man, that's where I talk about my zoo adventures that occurred before everything locked down. And I just finished my second week of back in the zoo. I'm back in for like 2 hours a day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So they have like a one-way system to walk around the zoo, meaning people don't walk back and people aren't crossing over each other, and people are generally keeping distant from each other. It's like families and couples. About 10% of people are wearing masks, but the issue we have is that people are coming in, people are looking at the tapirs, which are the first animals that you see. There's 3 tapirs, and if you don't know what a tapir is, it's a South American. It looks like it looks like a cross between a warthog and an elephant, but with like a shorter, or like an anteater. Yeah, it's like an anteater cross with a warthog. If an anteater fell in love with a warthog, you would have a tapir. Hey, look, if you have access to the internet somehow, just look it up and you look up a tapir. So I've been telling people what it is because they can't actually go to the information panel and the window because it's closed off. People walk around by the farm where there's goats and there's rabbits, and then the first thing they come to is the elephants. And because it's kind of like a narrow little path, walkway, and when you get in there, there's a little amphitheater where you can look at the elephants, and that itself can only contain so many people, so we have to kind of let people in and then stop people from going in until other people have moved on. And you can't really tell people, if it was me, I'd go in with a stick and I'd go, go on, hop, hop, hop. You have to be nice to people, and you have to sort of let people know what they're queuing for, and they're going to see the elephants, keep people happy, whilst also avoiding talking directly to people because of the pandemic. But we're behind barriers, and everything's wiped down. We're following safety procedures, and I'm happy to do it because the benefit is that I get to I get to go, if I go there early, I can go in and I can spend a half an hour or more in the break between the morning shift and the evening shift. Sorry, the afternoon shift. I go in around 1 o'clock and just walk around the zoo, and it's completely empty. And it's lovely. I mean, it's just wonderful to walk around when it's empty. There were sea lion pups there who, I don't know if you've ever heard sea lion pups calling for their mother and their mother calling back. It's a really bizarre sound. It sounds like someone who's had too much to drink and is trying to kind of throw up but can't quite do it. So you just hear these kind of retching noises. It's like... it was and then from the mother, and then it's almost like, come on, get it up, you'll feel better once you get it out of your system. So you know, that it was nice to see the sea lion pups. And then occasionally some people get kind of a little bit annoyed because they didn't expect to be queuing. Like, they're queuing to get in, and then when they get in, there's another little queue. But the elephants are very popular, and we have to maintain distance between people. And like, no one likes to stand in a queue, especially if you don't know what you're queuing for. So it's kind of my job to go up and down and just thank people for their patience, tell them what they're queuing for. This is for the elephants. They're having a great time in there. We're just trying to move it as quickly as possible. We gotta wait until people move out so we can move you in safely. Thanks for your patience. And you know, some people get a little bit annoyed that they're being all bunched up together. And you know, I had a couple, and it was kind of like the yin and yang of the customer volunteer experience, because the husband was like talking to me saying, this is ridiculous. You can't have people like lining up. I mean, what the hell? You know, this is not what I paid for. There's a pandemic going on, in case you haven't read the news or any piece of media or talked to your friends or experienced life on planet Earth right now. And, you know, I was just like, okay, yeah. I mean, I understand. We've only been open a couple of weeks. We're doing the best we can. I mean, the alternative is to not let anyone in at the elephants, because it's really the only pinch point. It's the only bottleneck in the entire zoo. So we're just aware that people do want to see the elephants. And I said, if you want to skip the elephants, I can bring you around, because that's an option. We're giving people, unfortunately, because it's a one-way system, they can't come back and look at the elephants. And he's mulling over. And while he's kind of sort of voicing his grievances to me, his wife is looking at me going, I know you from somewhere. Where do I know you from? Because she's recognized me from the TV shows that I've been on. So I have and she's like completely oblivious almost to her husband sort of giving me, his kind of 2 cents. So he's like kind of slightly annoyed, telling me what's wrong and how things should be run. And she's like, kind of half smiling, I know you from somewhere? Where do I know you? Oh, go, you tell me. And I wouldn't tell her, because you gotta maintain a little mystery in your life. So that was the yin of customer service. And the yang came from a man. Now, it was raining all day today. It was raining it was raining from about 11 o'clock this morning, because I was in town, and it started, it was drizzly rain, and then it got heavier and heavier, and by 4 o'clock it was quite heavy. It's still raining now. A day of rain. If you were heading out, you would be looking at the window going, oh, it's raining out. I'll bring my rain gear. Now, when I was at the front of the queue, because one of the volunteers had to leave early, and I was at the front of the queue, and people were going in, and I was sort of, telling people to kind of hang back and wait for the crowd to disperse a little bit before I brought them in. It's for your safety, and everyone was cool and groovy about it. One guy in particular was ultra cool and groovy. This guy was like the Keanu Reeves of zoo visitors. He was wearing a raincoat, but he was also wearing Bermuda shorts, and he was wearing barely there flip-flops with no socks. on a rainy day. Like he went, it's raining outside, I'll put on my flip-flops and shorts. I won't wear socks. You know, maybe his feet are incredibly hot and he needs to cool them down. And I said to him, and he was there with his family, and I said, thanks for your patience, guys. Sorry about this. It's just we have to wait until people leave the amphitheater so you're all not crushed in together just for safety's sake. And he goes, yeah, I mean, there's a guy at the back of the queue there who's just very annoyed. And I said to him, hey, man, relax. It's COVID. And I just said, excellent attitude, sir. I wish everyone had your attitude. And he was just way too cool for school. And, I mean, he looked like he looked like if he was made of chocolate, he'd eat himself. And you know what? I'd probably have a bite too. I'd have a bite of that lovely man. But if you do want to go to Dublin Zoo, please do. There's still lots to see. We're kind of slowly opening up different parts of the zoo. We're tweaking the system all the time. A lot of people don't know this about Dublin Zoo. It's a non-profit organisation. It doesn't get any assistance from the government. All of the money that you pay your ticket for goes to Dublin Zoo and goes to the conservation of animals around the world. So please come along. Previously on Love Notes.
Tony, what's going on? I can't believe that we're here at the Funfair that I think is haunted, but you don't think is haunted, to spy on Paul, the ex-trumpet player who used to own Love Notes, the jazz club that we both work in and you own. So now we've put on disguises where we're pretending to be some people we're not. You're pretending to be Johnny and I'm pretending to be some Italian woman called Judita that you just made up off the top of your head, and now we have to go along with it, and Paul is now revealing secretly his feelings for me, Tina, because he thinks that I'm this Judita. Meanwhile, you found a box that's mysterious and something amazing is inside of it because you've made a noise. Even though, how am I supposed to know that? Because I'm on the other side of the Funfair. Oh God, this is so dramatic.
Jesus, that's some mouthful, Tina.
That's what she said. Oh God, at least I can keep a sense of humour during all this drama.
We now return to Love Notes, in progress. So, I hope you're enjoying yourself at the Funfair so far tonight, Judita.
Oh yes, it is a beautiful place.
You've only been here for about 20 minutes. I can guess by the amount of fun that you've experienced. I can see it etched in your face. Quite beautiful. Really reminds me of somebody that I used to know.
Oh yes, well, I am from the large families in Italy's.
Your accent is so different. You've obviously lived in Dublin for a long time. You've still got a little bit of flavour of the old Italian, but the Dublin is still there, loud and clear, or the other way around, whatever it is. Sorry, I'm getting very confused with the beauty of your eyes. So beautiful and blue, like two big blue pools. I just want to swim in and maybe, hang out if the water's nice. But I'll eventually get out of it if it gets cold or my fingers get wrinkly, because that kind of freaks me out. Even though it's like, doesn't damage your skin or anything, but it can be good for you.
Oh, well, you don't know these things. I am only a simple Italian woman.
Well, I wouldn't say simple. There's nothing simple about the way you're put together. Oh, Jesus. I'm sorry, I'm being so formal here. Very, very unlike me.
Oh, noes? You are not so formal with this Tina's that you speak of?
Well, yeah, I wanted to be. I just never saw the opportunity. I'll tell you one thing. Some nights I'd be watching her on stage and she'd be fingering that trombone in ways that would make a grown man sweat.
Oh yes? She's a good on the trombone?
Yeah, one of the best I've ever seen. Some nights I'd be watching her going, Jesus, I'd love to be that trombone right about now.
And how come you never say your feelings towards this woman, Tina?
Well, didn't think it was right, us working together. You know what they say, don't shit where you eat, because eventually you'll have to eat there. And no one likes to eat food when there's shit all over the place.
Is that an expression?
Oh, here's where I come from. Dublin. Sorry, so rude of me not to offer you any of the lovely treats we have here at the Funfair. Candy floss, jelly deals, toffee apples, overripe bananas. Everyone loves an overripe banana. Well, I'm hoping so, or my overripe banana stall is going to do very bad business.
Yes, I would have 2 overripe bananas, please. Thank you, Paul.
Alright, I'll be back in 2 seconds. Just wait here until I come back, which won't be long.
Okay. Oh, Jesus. Why did I ask for 2 overripe bananas? I don't even like overripe bananas, or ripe bananas, or green bananas. Oh, God. Tony, I hope you're discovering what's in that box, and it's satisfying your appetite for curiosity here with Paul.
Tina.
Tony, what's going on?
Listen, we have to go.
Paul's just gone to get me some overripe banana.
Overripe banana? What are you talking about? Is that some sort of sex lingo?
No, Tony, it's nothing to do with sex. It's just an overripe banana.
Look, nobody enjoys overripe bananas. Some people don't even like bananas.
I know.
Listen, Tina, I've seen something.
God, Tony, you're as white as a sheet. I mean, a sheet that's a white sheet.
Yeah, I know. I'm as white as a cream sheet. A cotton-rich cream sheet. Jesus, I need to go and lie down on me cotton-rich white sheets on me lovely comfy bed.
What is it, Tony? What is it?
Jesus. I don't know.
I mean, did you even take a picture of it, Tony? Or have any kind of evidence of what you've seen? Or can you even say it to me?
I can't. I'm too traumatised by what I've seen. I'll have to go back and I'll have to talk to Johnny.
Alright. Be careful. Go on. Here comes Paul back. Run back to the club. I'll talk to you later, alright?
Alright, Tina. Alright. I'll tell you what I saw later. I'm sorry, Juditha, that they were all out of overripe bananas. So I got you some candy floss, and I got the man to shape it into the shape of a banana. I thought you might enjoy that.
Oh, you are so very thoughtful about things about the bananas and the floss.
Do you have floss where you come from? In Italy?
Yes, we have many flosses.
Excuse my ignorance, I didn't mean offence.
Where is your friend Johnny?
Did he throw the balls I gave him earlier on?
Yes, he came by to say he is tired from throwing the balls and he's going home to lie down in his special hammock.
He's got the special hammock. All right. Very interesting. Does he have a bad back?
Yes, he's bad. Very bad back.
Right, so would you like to take a tour? I can show you more of the Funfair and we can get to know each other a little bit better. Oh, Jesus.
Alright, boss, what's going on?
Johnny, Jesus, sorry. Didn't see you there.
God, you look startled. Something happened in the Funfair? Did you see something in a box? Something that you didn't maybe want to see or hadn't expected to see at all and it really, really disturbed you?
Yeah. How do you know?
I've seen a lot of people in my time. A lot of people have seen things in boxes that have been revelations to them. Changed their whole worldview or changed what they thought was going on or confirmed what was going on. And their suspicions have been right all along kind of face. And that's the face I'm seeing on you right now, Tony.
I'll tell you what, Johnny. You can't dance to Charleston, but you've got an insight into the human soul.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know what they say? The windows are the eyes that you look into, and then you can tell if someone is lying or having a revelation or whatever the hell is going on with their lives. Food poisoning or whatever.
Johnny, listen. I didn't say this to Tina because I think she's fallen back in love with Paul.
What? Falling back in love with Paul? But I thought she was done with Paul.
Yeah, so did I. But it appears that she's not. Although I think Paul may be falling for Juditha, who is the pseudonym that she is using to try and seduce him and or get information about his feelings for her, Tina, while she's pretending to be this Italian woman.
Whoa. Slow down, Tony. I don't know what you're talking about.
Look, it's a long story, but you know Paul's back in town, yeah?
Jesus, Paul's back in town? Oh, yeah. I seen him the other day. He came in looking for his trumpet.
Yeah, well, I seen another trumpet.
What are you talking about, Tony?
I'll tell you what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a trumpet in a box belonging to Miles Davis.
What?
I seen it at the Funfair.
Are you sure it wasn't just Paul's trumpet?
No, I'd know Paul's trumpet anywhere. This was a different trumpet. This was Miles Davis's trumpet. I've seen it so many times in videos, on the covers of albums and in films, and it also had "This trumpet is the property of Miles Davis" written on it.
Jesus, what's he doing with Miles Davis' trumpet?
I thought he was opening up a rival jazz club, but it seems to me, judging by what I seen in that box being Miles Davis's trumpet, that Paul is planning on not having a funfair, but also having a funfair with a jazz museum.
Jesus, that's amazing.
I mean, it's a great business deal. I'd love to go to the funfair, and when I go to the funfair, I always think, God, if only they had a jazz museum. Yeah, exactly. Everyone's had that thought. And Paul's cashing in on it. Where did he get the money to get Miles Davis's trumpet? I think there could be someone else behind Paul's business venture of opening up a jazz museum, and I aim to find out who.
All right, best of luck with that, Tony.
Tune in next week for the next exciting installment of Love Notes on Edwin Sammon of Knowledge podcast. Wow, what a revelation. Who would have thought last week when he opened that box that it had Miles Davis's trumpet in it? Legendary jazz trumpeter Miles Davis. Wow. Who knows where it's going to go from here? Is Tony on the money when he says that Paul is opening up a jazz club / jazz museum? He knew it was something to do with jazz. He didn't expect Miles Davis's trumpet. Why? How did Paul get it? Why is he in possession of it? What's he going to do with it? All of these questions will probably be answered in next week's episode. So, guys, that's it for the podcast for this week. Thank you so much for listening. If you want to become a patron of Edwin Sammon of Knowledge, and for as little as 3 ducats a month, you can get extra content. You can get this podcast ad-free, sometimes longer, sometimes unedited. You get bloopers. You get extra episodes. There's 2 extra episodes coming in the next couple of weeks. One all about the movie Airplane, where I talk at length about why I love the movie Airplane so much. I'd just like to say condolences to Reiner and his family. Reiner, who directed some of my favourite comedy movies of all time, starring Steve Martin, The Jerk, The Man with Two Brains, Best Friends with Mel Brooks. He was 98, so, you know, he had a good run, as they say, but a very funny, sweet, lovely man who passed away. So R.I.P. Carl, and we'll see you next week, guys. And here's a little bit of Carl Reiner to play us out.
The lead of my obit. I'm too busy to talk right now. I have a deadline.
I had one question, which is, when I was a kid, one of my favorite things was something, you mentioned Mel Brooks earlier, your good friend, and you two wrote together, of course, for many years, and you've collaborated, and you've been best friends, and I think you get together almost every night and watch television.
Yes, except now he's in London with Frankenstein, so I haven't seen her for about a month, and it's very terrible.
Yeah. I'll come over anytime.
Please.
Yeah. Here's my question. My question is, you guys together did 2,000-Year-Old Man. And it was one of my favorite bits of all time. and you were such a brilliant straight man, but you guys would interview Mel Brooks, who played the oldest man in the world, 2,000 years old. And I always heard that this had a very unusual beginning, that you weren't two writers who sat down and worked it out, that you guys would just do this at parties, and that's how it got started?
You know, matter of fact, the very first time I saw Mel, I didn't know who he was. I came to these shows to be a writer-actor.
Yeah.
And there was a guy standing. He was working for Sid for $35 a joke or something.
Yeah.
He wasn't working for the show. And this man with a Jewish accent saying, you know how hard it is to set sail these days? He was a Jewish pirate. He says, you know how difficult it is to set sail these days? You know what they're charging for sailcloth? $3.40 a yard. I can't afford to pillage and rape anymore. The first time I heard... The next time I came in to the office, I said to him, just from nowhere, I said, I understand, sir, that you knew Jesus. He says, thin lad, right? He wore sandals, walked around with 12 other guys. Nice boy. They came into the store, never bought anything. I gave them water.
I love that picture of Jesus and the apostles. They're hanging around the store. They don't buy anything. Can we just show a quick clip of you and Mel doing 2,000-year-old man? Let's take a look.
Well, sir, years ago, what did you do for entertainment? Not now, hundreds of years ago.
Apart from fooling around in the cave?
Yes.
We had a few things. The biggest thing we had was bullfights.
We have them today.
Yes. Well, two big bulls would get in a ring and kill each other for the love of a cow.
No, just a moment. Today, a man in a bullfight in the middle of a ring.
For the love of a cow? I wouldn't own a ring. I wouldn't care if the cow was Elsie. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yes, right.
So you guys...
When it's over, what would you like most for people to say about you and your life after you're gone?
He treated people fairly. He was just part of the mass of humanity, and he lived his life without feeling guilt because he didn't do anything that would give him guilt. And that's about it.
It's the end of the podcast. That's it for this podcast this week. Hopefully more things will happen during the week. Hopefully there'll be some resolution where we find out what Paul is doing with Miles Davis's trumpet at the Funfair and Love Notes, the ongoing soap opera that's on this podcast, Edwin Sammon of Knowledge. If you're listening, please give me a review. It only takes a minute and costs you nothing. It'll only take at least 5 minutes, probably, but no more than 5 minutes. Surely to God you have 5 minutes. You could do it when you're sitting on the toilet. It won't take you long on the toilet. I know you want to read about celebrities, but if you give me a 5-star review, that won't cost you anything, and it will help me out immensely. Somehow, I don't know how exactly, because I'm not smart enough to know about algorithms. Maybe I'll do algorithms as a subject on the podcast. Edwin Sammon of Knowledge. I wonder sometimes, should there be more knowledge and facts and stuff like that on the podcast? If you want that to be a thing, then send me a tweet or just leave a comment underneath the YouTube channel, where I also upload these podcasts, although I can't monetize the podcast because I have Brendan Blowhard come on and do songs that are copyrighted, even though he changes the lyrics, and it should be regarded as parody. I wish Brendan Blowhard was on this week, but I couldn't get a hold of him. And you've got to suspend your disbelief when I say that I couldn't get Brendan Blowhard on the show. I hope he's okay. I'll get him next week, you know. He'll be back soon, singing his songs for you and me on Edwin Sammon of Knowledge.